Welcome everyone to our FAST channel. I am Taiping Yang, your professional resident architect and registered architect. Before we begin, please don't forget to like and share this video. If you enjoy our content, you can subscribe so you won't miss any of our future channels. Today's episode will be a bit longer, so we might need to split it into 1 or 2 parts, or maybe even 3, because there's quite a lot to cover. So what are we talking about today? It's about the design of my project. This is because many customers, many clients often ask, Jimmy, if I hire someone to design, how will you help me design my house? Or what should I expect from an architect in terms of helping me with the design? Okay, so today I'm going to use a case study as a demonstration using a project to show how we work. Of course, other people have their own ways of doing design, but I'm just giving an example of our approach. So if we were to do the design today, what exactly would we do? Of course, other architects might have their own methods or their own approaches. For example, Jasmine might not do the things that I would do, and of course her pricing isn't the same as mine. Sometimes there are cases where they do even more than I do, and naturally their pricing is different from mine as well, right? So sometimes what exactly can we do? Many times when we serve as the architect, we talk about our services and how much traffic we have. As a customer, as an owner, you also use this as a way to evaluate and assess which architect you want to use. One of the things is, as I mentioned in another video before, I should pay my architect how much? There's another video you can check out about that. Okay, so today we're going to use a case study to demonstrate how we help our clients design a project and everyone can evaluate it for themselves. Today our site is in Honolulu, right in the city center, and also it's near Liliha, up on a mountain. The lot is over 6,200 square feet and it's zoned R-5. Okay, if you don't know what R-5 means, you can check out my other videos to learn about how land is classified here, especially the zoning classifications for residential properties. Now, for this house, the area is about 2,100 square feet on the first floor, and the second floor is around 1,500 square feet. So the first floor is 2,100 square feet, and the second floor is 1,500 square feet. Added together, that's about 3,600, right? 3,600. And the total construction value, meaning the construction cost, is $600,000. So it's $600,000, which means this isn't some kind of luxury home. It's just an ordinary house. In the city, we can see that ordinary houses like this generally cost about the same per square foot, as I mentioned in another video, around $150 per square foot, give or take a little. This house is also made of wood framing. Both the first and second floors are wood structure. That's the background. Now let's talk about how we approach the design from the very beginning. Usually when we start designing, the first thing we always ask is, owner, what do you want? What are your requirements? In English, this is called the program, meaning your needs. So this client, the owner, wanted a total of 4 bedrooms, 1 bedroom on the first floor, and then 3 more bedrooms upstairs on the second floor. There are also 2 bathrooms, 1 shared bathroom and 1 ensuite bathroom in the master bedroom. And of course, there's the kitchen. There was also a special request from the owner. He wanted an entertainment room. The entertainment room is his own space, which he also refers to as his office or theater room. So when the owner gives us the program, we start by following this program. What do we do first? We begin with what's called a 2D conceptual design, starting from the building's orientation, how the building is positioned. We can also plan the fencing. For example, with that piece of land, which direction is north? Which direction has the best view? Where is the scenery? And from which direction does the prevailing wind come? Only after considering these factors can we start the overall design. So how should the house be built? Of course, sometimes we don't have much choice because, for instance, the shape of the plot, if it's a long strip and the road is on top of it, limits our options. In that case, we basically can't change the dimensions of the house. It's going to be a long strip, right? However, when it comes to the layout of the interior spaces, we can still arrange things according to factors like sunlight, wind direction, and other such conditions. We design accordingly. Of course, there's also the owner's own preferences, which take priority. For example, the owner might specifically request something. They might say, I want the master bedroom to face outside where it's quieter. Some people prefer, for example, I want my master bedroom to face the street because I like looking out at the street. There really are owners with preferences like this. These are the owner's personal likes. And when the owner provides the program, they'll give us this information. Then we start doing a 2D design. That is, how do you create the layout for the house? In our projects, we also do this kind of work. In this particular project, it's a bit special. Why is it special? Because the owner's wife herself is also interested in architecture as a concept. So at the very beginning of this project, she bought a simple software package outside and started designing on her own. She said, "Oh, I like it this way. Where is the room? Where is the view?" She gave us her ideas and opinions saying, "This is my sketch." This was her initial preference, and she felt that this was really great. So when we saw it, as you can see on everyone's screen, the initial feedback Ted gave us was this. What he wanted most was that on the first floor, when you enter from the main entrance, there should be a high-ceilinged hall. From beside the staircase, you go up to the second floor, and on the second floor, there are only 3 rooms. As I just mentioned, there is 1 master bedroom and then 2 other rooms that share a bathroom. 1 bathroom for those 2 rooms. Then, when you walk into the first floor, there is the kitchen on the side and then the main hall. And at the back, there is another room as well as the game room, the entertainment room. At that time, he gave us the idea saying, "Hey, if we follow this sketch, wouldn't it be great?" That was his thinking. Of course, when we look at it this way, there's something very special, looking toward the lanai. Why is there a lanai at the back? It's actually because the house is on a mountain. So from the position of the lanai, you can see the entire city, not just the city, but also the ocean view. You can see the whole city of Honolulu and the sea beyond. It's really great. When we went to that area to take a look, we also found that the view was absolutely amazing. So when we saw the design, we thought, with it done this way, like splitting the house into 2 levels going down, it looks like both floors can enjoy the view outside. But we also thought, if it's done like this, there are still some other considerations. It still wasn't enough. We felt it could be improved even further. But when it came to our approach, since the concept was already there, we started directly from the land, moving from 2D to creating a 3D model, because the owner also had their own ideas. So we started by moving from 2D to 3D. In 3D, we used our software to directly build the house in the model so he could see it in 3D. The first option we gave him was based on what he wanted. The owner's wife, her idea was just a concept, but she didn't have confirmed measurements or the exact size. So we still needed to place the house on their land and make small adjustments, tweaking it until it fit properly, just so it fits within the envelope of the plot of land. So I first built the 3D model. Then our first step was to create a version based on their concept. And then we said, if you want, we can also make adjustments according to your suggestions. Based on your concept, we created the layout and the spacing, and then showed him the 3D model of the house like this. Then I told him, wait a moment, we have another option for you. So at that time, we presented him with our other concept as well. Because we felt that, in fact, his specific idea, he really likes the high ceiling, but if that high ceiling is simply placed at the front entrance, it doesn't really offer much of a practical benefit to the space. Plus, it doesn't truly showcase the grand proportions and the most striking visual effect of the high ceiling design. Also, you have to consider that it faces the entire city skyline and the vast, beautiful ocean view beyond. I think that if we followed his approach, it would actually waste such a great view, so we changed the design of the high ceiling. So what approach did we use? In our overall design, we directly shifted it to the back, moving the entire high ceiling area. In the design, the living room area is actually just at the front, right by the main entrance, which is just a regular double door. After entering, the kitchen is to the side, and as you keep walking forward, you reach a 2-story high-ceilinged hall. The staircase starts from that high-ceilinged area and leads up to the second floor. The advantage of this kind of layout is that in most houses, from the entrance, the entire flow leads directly toward that high-ceilinged hall. So when people or guests come in, their eyes are immediately drawn in that direction. And as they walk over, they're wowed by the whole high-ceiling space. And right behind that high-ceilinged area is the entire sea view. Okay, and you can also see the balcony outside the master bedroom on the second floor. Then, from the high-ceilinged hall, you turn the corner to the staircase that leads up to the second floor. The proportion between the staircase and the high-ceilinged hall makes it look even grander and more luxurious, unlike before, when it felt narrow and cramped. The owner's original idea was to put the staircase to the side, which meant there was no staircase going up there, and it looked quite narrow, giving the impression that there wasn't enough space. But now, what we've done is make the entire staircase a part of the main hall. The feeling, especially when you walk down from above, is completely different now. Okay, so when we showed them our new concept at that time, the couple was immediately very, very happy as soon as they saw it. They felt, wow, Jimmy, this is exactly the kind of idea we really wanted. It was much better than what we had imagined, so they immediately adopted it and changed to the design we wanted. Then, as we moved into the CD phase, we could work with the owner because now we had more intuitive exterior perspective renderings. We could explain things more clearly. For example, any changes to the windows, how big you want the windows to be, how the doors are made, the exterior terrace, the railings, what materials to use, the roof, and so on. Through 3D, we were able to discuss all of these aspects. clients have a much more intuitive view and image, because many owners, many of our friends and clients, if they're not in our line of work, they really can't picture the overall look of the house in their minds just from the drawings. So when we provide 3D renderings, it allows clients to understand much more clearly and to better imagine what their house will look like once it's built, or how it should appear. In contrast, the traditional old-fashioned way was to give you what we call an elevation, which is just a flat drawing of the house's facade. They would just give you a floor plan to look at, and that approach is really lacking because many owners simply can't understand it. When we talk about floor plans or elevation drawings, owners often can't visualize what the actual house will look like from those. So when we provide a 3D, three-dimensional exterior rendering, it's a really great effect for the owners. And then in addition to that, what else do we provide besides the exterior rendering? For example, we will provide a kitchen interior rendering or a perspective view of the master bedroom. It's the same for many other areas as well. Often, clients don't really know what the finished kitchen will look like, so we will provide some interior perspective renderings. For this particular case, for example, we might provide a rendering of the living room showing what the double height space will look like, or what the staircase will look like from a certain angle. And then, by presenting these effects through perspective renderings, the owner will have a much clearer impression. They'll know, wow, this is what my house will look like. This helps to avoid issues later on when we move forward with the design or start construction. There will be fewer unexpected changes, or rather, there won't be any extra changes, because on the computer, we can basically already achieve a result that everyone is satisfied with. The owner also knows exactly what the finished product will look like. Okay, so from this point on, of course, we proceed from here. In addition to showing them the documentary style historical CD images or images, there's another approach, which is that I can create what's called a static rendering. That is, I render a colored image of the 3D model of the house we've made. After adding color, background, and sunlight, I can show them what the overall look and feel would be, what the image would look like under those conditions. That image becomes even more realistic, okay, because with sunlight and the colors of the materials, it looks more real. This way, they can better imagine in their minds what their house will actually look like when it's finished. And of course, there's an even more luxurious and advanced option, which is that we can provide an animation. That is, we use a camera to circle around the outside of the house and create an animation. As for this kind of 3D animation, we also have demonstrations on our website showing examples with other houses we've worked on. This type of animation can be provided to clients during the design phase, but generally that service is it's a standard practice, but it's considered an extra service, meaning that usually if clients pay a bit more, then they can have this kind of animation. So not every architect or designer will do this for you. For example, if you hire someone like Jasmine to design a house and you request this, she might say it's not worth it for her. It's not that he doesn't want to, it's just that he doesn't know how. Of course, he might also be unwilling because just doing this kind of rendering or animation takes a lot of time. For example, we have to coordinate and select materials and make sure the background and everything else matches, which is very time consuming. However, when we're designing a house, this kind of work is very effective because it allows the client to see what their house will look like after it's finished, almost as close to reality as possible. Of course, there's still a certain difference from reality because it's still an animation, right? But at this stage, the client basically knows exactly what they will get. What the house will look like, generally, at this stage, if the client is satisfied, we move on to the next step. It's not really the final step, but in terms of design, we're almost done. We can then officially start working on the construction drawings, that is the construction join. And then, after that's done, we can apply for the building permit, apply for the construction license. Once we have the permit, of course, the project can begin. The entire construction period for this project is about 4 to 6 months. Ours took just under 5 months, around 5 months or so. Now, the house is finished. So finally, today, we're going to take everyone to have a look. This is the finished design. Compared to the pictures we just showed you, or the 3D renderings, is there a big difference? Or could you already imagine what the house would look like from the pictures? Today we're going to take everyone to see it.